Hi, Angela. Thanks so much for chatting today. I was really intrigued when I heard about your story. I'd love for you to start off by just sort of telling me how your sort of relationship with math began and how you felt about it.
Well, when I was at school, when I was at junior school, first of all, I should say I've got a twin brother, and he is very clever at maths. Maths are no problem to him at all. He's always found a pattern and been very quick with it. So I was always compared directly with him, especially when I was at junior school. And I just didn't get it. I just didn't click. So maths was just no. So I learnt the art of avoidance. I learnt in a classroom, if I put my hand up and asked a question, they thought that I was engaged with the lesson and they wouldn't ask me a question. So, I did everything to just avoid maths.
Wow. And so through that, I guess you began to reinforce the idea that this is not my thing. I'm just, I'm not even going to bother trying. And then you kind of managed to get through school like that, I guess.
Yeah, all the way through junior school and all the way through secondary school. I just learned that if I put my hand up first before they asked me, they didn't ask me the questions.
All right. So then you kind of leave school and you're like, great, never have to think about math again, right? But does it impact your life?
Well, it does, and on a social side, say, where I was working at lunchtimes, they used to have a social club, and they'd have a little dartboard in there, and you go and play darts. And then I realised I couldn't play darts because I couldn't add up. So I would avoid, social interactions on certain things because I just couldn't do it. It was just a fear. I think just that complete mental block of things. I was quite fortunate when I went to work that everything started to go computerized. So I would do this, but it would all be added up for me. Everything would be done for me. So I didn't have to think from that point of view. But I wouldn't be able to go and add things up as I was going around the supermarket. I didn't know my times tables even.
And was there, when you're doing this, is there like a visceral kind of reaction, like a fear to it? So if someone was saying, hey, let's play darts, we have to add up, or I don't know, something to it, would it be kind of an emotional response, like, of anxiety or fear, or was it just sort of par for the course with you at this point?
There would be anxiety there because I look silly in front of everybody. So I would just avoid everything. I would just avoid it. I just oh no, I don't do darts, and go off and do something else.
Yeah. I think avoidance is a fascinating one, right? Because, it's always sort of the other side of anxiety, right? That when we're afraid of something, we're worried about something, and it makes perfect sense in the short term. But the only thing that avoidance does is in the long term, is it makes that thing harder and harder to engage in, because every time you avoid, you're just reinforcing the idea that, oh, my fear was correct, right? So I avoided it, I'm safe. Therefore, the only way I'm safe is if I avoid. So as kind of time progresses, are you ever confronted with the idea that this is something that I actually need to kind of stop avoiding and look at?
Yeah, I mean, when the children went to school, they would come home with their maths. I just couldn't do it, so I'd hand them over to my brother, and that continued. And then it got to the point where I'm at the age now where I know that if I want to go to university, which I do, then I need to go now because of my age. I won't be able to get funding or apply for funding after the age of 60. So at 57, I decided I needed to get my maths, because that was the one thing that was stopping me at university. I just needed to get functional skills, level 2 maths. So I found Somerset Skills Learning online and found that there was a funded course that I could do, and took the challenge and went to the lesson. But before I went to the lesson, I did an online assessment, and it gave me something like 0.007% chance or something like that of being able to level 2, and it wanted me to go to a level 1. But I walked through the door and the lesson, and obviously I was a bit nervous, well, more than a bit nervous, and there was one other person in the class as well, and we had one tutor, and I could see that the other person in the class was as nervous as I was, and the tutor said, right, you're both nervous, I know you think that you're not going to be able to do this, but I'm telling you now, you can definitely do this, and you will definitely get your level 2. And I think her belief and the way she came across, and she was like that every single lesson that we went to, and we both passed. So
isn't that something, when just that idea of self-belief? I mean, if you kind of think about it, we create these ideas in our head of, of not only what we can do, but who we are. So you weren't just sort of, Angela that was bad at maths. It became part of your personality. This is something that I can't, I'm different. And I love this idea of kind of that reversing the self-talk, because you're absolutely right. If somebody else can do it within reason, absolutely I should be able to. And just being able to, I always say to my clients, like, no one speaks to you more than you speak to yourself. So be aware of what you're saying. And if you can just kind of change that mantra in your head of, it's not so much I can't do it, I just can't do it yet, and I'll figure it out. It's having that open mindset, right? So psychologists speak a lot about the difference between closed and open mindsets. And it's this idea of, like, I think to your point, not being afraid to be wrong. And I think so many people, it is that fear that I'm going to look stupid. I'm going to ask the question that, everyone else knows the answer to. And if you can just get, even past that and be like, do you know what? I'll ask till I figure it out. And that kind of, it's almost taking kind of, responsibility for your emotions around it, right? It's not the bully in your head who's saying, oh, you can't do this and you're not smart enough. You stand up to the bully and be like, I'm going to figure this out. You can keep on talking, but I'm going to do it. And I think it's precisely that, in the same way that low confidence is self-perpetuating, positive confidence is also self-perpetuating, because, the minute you do the thing that you never thought you could do, all of a sudden, everything else you never thought you could do becomes, more manageable. Gosh, Angela, well, thank you so much. Before I let you go, can I just ask you, if there's anyone out there feeling the way that you did, what kind of advice would you give them?
So I would say, for anyone, any age, just find the right person for you to teach. And I was incredibly lucky that the tutor we had was so kind and so happy, and always found a way. So her challenge was, if we didn't understand what she was saying, she's like, oh, right, now I've got to find a way to make this work so that you can understand what it's all about. So she never gave up on us, which gave us that, that belief in ourselves as well. So it's just it's so enriching and rewarding.
Angela, thank you so much, and I'm sure, I really do think that your story will resonate with a hell of a lot of people out there. So thank you so much for sharing, and good luck with the course.
Thank you very much.